Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Alonso Duralde, Robert Abele. The season finale of Americans, season 2, Echo the episode. Seldom have we been more wrong at predicting anything that's going to happen.
That's why I try not to do it.
Yeah,
I know, but I mean, what a way to be wrong. I mean, the best way. I mean, I read so much crime fiction, and it actually is thrilling to reach this level where I think I know what's happening. Oh, I think I know what's happening, and then go, oh, it's actually this. And not only that, I really
it's part of this larger thing.
It's been threaded thematically all the way through.
Sometimes in a book, when you're, and I read a lot of crime fiction too, and you find out what the actual story is, who did it, what the reason was, what the motivation. You're like, well, no one would have. You can't have gotten that. You just pulled that out. And here, no, like. Why did Kate meet with Jared so many times?
We were always wondering. We talked here before why Kate was meeting with Jared.
And Ebert talks about the law of the economy of characters. Where like there's only so many people, and so you can sort of narrow it down. He was right in front of us the whole time.
Nobody brought it up.
And it even makes sense if you want to like complain about like say, well, we saw Jared crying in the hallway after discovering that. Well, yeah, he's
that's what he was acting.
He's acting.
We've seen Clark all season.
That's right.
Yeah. He's a very, very overeager. And he was such an overeager guy. He was like, oh, please tell the center I've saved you. Please tell the center I've saved you. So, I mean, it just made sense for the character. I mean, it was like, it was brilliant. And then
And real quick, and then in hindsight, the previous episode, how willing he was to go along with
Elizabeth.
With Elizabeth, right?
Yeah.
Like, we were like, God, he's really, I'm going to live in another country. He's like taking this freaking in stride, but it never dawns on us because that's what he wants, right? Yeah.
I know, no, it was great, and really just getting to the whole point where like just Kerry Russell saying our children. I mean, that was the theme of the season. Like, whose children are they? I mean, and so when Margaret Martindale gives that speech to them, you're just like, whoa.
Well, and again, it ties back. We've always said this is a show as much about the immigrant experience as it is about espionage, and so I think immigrant parents. Very often it's that thing of like, do we want our kids to be like us, or do we want them to embrace this, our adopted homeland? And if they do want to be like us, is that a bad thing? Do we take it as insulting, or should we be proud? I mean, that's the conundrum we see them in now.
They even give the name of the program a very like modern sounding, like to us, second generation illegals is the name of the center program, and it just sounds like a term you might see bandied about in politics about immigrants.
Like anchor babies. Yeah.
Exactly. No. So it's a really that was a great little touch too.
And seldom has a drama. Maybe the Sopranos did a great job, but that's the one that did it at the most that I can think of off the top of my head. Where it turns out, like the children, I mean, casting these kids, it was so critical because it turns out, at least it appears going into season 3. I mean, Paige, who's just built, like, it's perfect because the end of last season, she's like,
snooping.
What's with the laundry? Always with the laundry late at night? And she's smart. They raised her smart, and she's aware of her surroundings, and their character sort of builds, and we think, is this some tangent with the church group? And no, it's not. It's all building to the point of she wants something, she wants a bigger thing in life that actually causes Elizabeth at the end to be like,
well, because we sit
she
there.
Could do worse.
I mean, we've been thinking this whole season, the suspense would be, is Paige going to find out? And that it doesn't even matter if Paige found out. If there is like this
there's a whole other level.
It's whether you could be smart like Paige and gifted and want to do well, but if you're in that, you're being reminded, oh yeah, this is about Soviet Russia. They want to control everything.
Right.
and yeah.
So it was also it was a reminder of like whatever we see, they do a nice job of showing how we can be the bad guy and that they're many. But like you're like, oh yeah, these guys they're horrible. They're horrible. They're the worst. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, did you guys see the piece on IndieWire about basically kind of calling the show out for not having the courage of atheism? That's sort of like the last taboo subject on television that you hear Elizabeth and Philip kind of talk to each other about how they're not happy with her doing the church group, but they never actually have a conversation with Paige about this is why we think religion is bad. This is why we don't believe in, the patriarchal God.
First of all, I think that may come. Now when they have conversations, if they're going to tell her, that might come up. But I would say that's.
I'm giving the show the benefit that they had other fish to fry, but it was still an interesting point about like of all the things that you can do on TV that even on this show that they do as far as extramarital affairs or in the name of espionage or murder or whatever, like that's still a thing that is.
I don't know because
about.
I like my dramas to like actually like make me think about those things without him having to spell it out for us. So I think every time they complained to Paige about what she was doing, I was thinking about atheism.
The subtext.
That's what good drama is supposed to do.
We did have the lead characters say in that one line there in the kitchen, I wish she believed in something else other than children's fairy tales.
Right.
Exactly.
So, that's at least they got one line in there.
But going back to the point about how horrible Soviet Russia is, I like also the parallel storyline is Stan Beeman basically having coming into the grips with the realization that like when I loyal to my country, somebody dies. I mean that's basically that as a parallel storyline to what was going on with Jared. I mean that's just great. That's great. I mean,
and there's a great, at least in my household, there was a great male-female dynamic about whether Stan did the right thing.
exactly. No, you're supposed to wonder. I think.
I'm like, look, it's a terrible decision, and I guess you understand either way. I go, you can't hand over the Echo program. You can't do it.
No, you can't do it.
You can't do it. And so she's got to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I kept, and Lee was like, no, look at her, no, you can't let her go, even though she doesn't really love him, she loves Oleg.
I was a missport having her on the show. I just,
who knows?
Who knows? That's
right,
true.
Exactly, we don't know.
We don't even know because as I, and I've nailed so many things, as I suggested, that, we don't know. Nothing was said. They never, specifically, they never said, goodbye, you're getting on the plane to go back. I mean, we may well see those guys drive her.
Oleg might spring her.
He might drive her to, those guys might drive her to Dulles Airport, give her $5,000 and say, if the Residentura ever hears of you again, we'll kill you.
Yeah.
Go.
Right.
Be done, here's these new papers. Because we thought that all he had to do was threaten her with that possibility and threaten Oleg so that he believed it.
And threaten Stan, obviously.
Right, and threaten Stan with it, and then he may feel no obligation necessarily to send her back. We'll see, who knows? We'll see.
I love Stan's nightmare.
That was a great nightmare.
As TV dream sequences go, that was pretty great.
But I want to bring up something that my wife pointed out in watching the nightmare. I've watched this episode twice. She was just watching it for the first time when I watched it the second time with her, and she noticed something that I thought was really interesting. I don't know if this was intended or not, but in Stan's nightmare dream, whatever you want to call it, did you notice that Martha puts files in her bag as if she's stealing them?
I did not notice that.
Yes, in the corner. I went back and watched it, but like you see her in the dream when the big thing she talks about how the files are always sitting there ready
on top of the
you
robot,
see her in his dream put files in a bag.
Right.
In a bag.
Does he have an inkling?
Basically, I know. I thought they're
yeah.
threading something for next year about those files. Like he knows. Like you imagine Stan next year is going to be gung ho to get Reds now.
Right.
Sure.
And so
he's totally let himself off the hook, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Martha's going to be a point of vulnerability next year, I think, and it has to do with him knowing that, like, him maybe recognizing something that he doesn't quite recognize. So anyway, I thought that was like amazing.
That's we'll go back and look at that now. Is this the first time we've seen Philip and the guy from the Residentura on screen together?
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was a moment for sure.
Chilling line of.
Yeah, I know.
I am frequently under surveillance.
And then Warren Beatty on the cover of.
We're talking about that's a Reds interview.
Yeah,
by the way.
he would have been doing it.
Warren Beatty, Rolling Stone.
I think it's also very impressive how, like, at the beginning throughout the show until this season, the first season, it was that Philip is weak and she's sort of committed much more to the cause. He's being seduced by. And then we're talking all season about he seems to have come maybe even.
No, they're a united front this season.
They're united front, and even there were times when, but then at this moment where she's. Like nothing's really changed. It's still,
we're going back to a first season like a split in the marriage next year.
Because he's like, I got it. I got into this, but our
Not my
daughter,
children.
are you out of your freaking mind?
And I think it's hinted at a little bit in that when they get back from the crazy. By the way, the kids were so hilarious. Like Paige was like, "Great trip," and so, when the boy says, "I had a great time," Dad goes, "I did too," and then they have a little moment where the kid like throws something and Phil catches it. I think we're seeing a split in terms of maybe Paige will get recruited next year, but like we're going to see like Phil's going to protect the boy probably in a way that like they're going to be like stronger.
Yeah, that could be that's good. That could be, but also just that I don't know that there was one care, and even the Fred who I thought and it turned out no, he's just the big sap that he seems to be, and he wants to be part of something, and they ended up paying with his life, and it moved both of them, and but the characters were. On this show, as much as any other good show, they never strayed. Now, looking back over 2 seasons, like they were incredibly consistent. Like even where there was movement, but they all reverted to where they were, which is I think impressive. That in order to drive a plot, they didn't and Stan not doing it. They never had a moment of we got to have somebody do something crazy because we're a television show.
Right,
we need to
right.
make sure that things stay. So I think that.
But also him not doing it didn't feel like a cop-out. It didn't feel like that thing that dramas do where they set up a situation, it seems like it'd be interesting, and then at the last minute they pull the plug. That even him pulling the plug felt like a tough choice and an interesting dramatic choice.
And I think and the choice he would have made, I would have had much more trouble believing that even to save her, like at some point he'd be like, I'm not handing this stuff over to Arcadia. I can't do it.
And a reminder: do not fuck with Elizabeth, even when her handcuffed behind her back. She will still fuck you up.
She is the toughest woman on television. By the way, the thing about Fred. Now we only heard he died over the radio.
Right.
I mean,
we see the bloody hand.
We see the bloody hand, but that was the last time we saw him. And then they hear over the radio he's gone. Now, I'm just saying, this show, I don't trust this show anymore. So I'm thinking,
true,
like, I mean, they may know that somebody's listening in. They may want to, like, I don't know. I get paranoid
anything
watching the show.
Anything's possible. A great season. I'm sorry it's over, and eager for season 3. They're not renewed past season 3.
Well, no, I think it's so rare that, I mean, the 2-season pickups like they do for Big Bang Theory and Game of Thrones and even like I forget there was another show that did that.
I mean, did Louis get one, or I mean, has this network done that at all?
I think,
But also Louis has like this unbelievable clout right now that probably but few others.
Yeah.
Sure. No. I'm just saying. I think FX doesn't hand those out much.
No.
But yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that it was in massive jeopardy, but there was apparently because it doesn't get the numbers that it's not doesn't get Shield numbers, doesn't get Rescue Me numbers.
Well, then everyone has to tell all their friends to watch the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, they're on Amazon Prime. They're on they're on DVD. And for God's sake, if you are a writer for Homeland, watch this fucking show. Pick up some tips.
This is how Spy shows should go.
Oh, go easy on Homeland.
All right, thanks everybody.